Forget the fairy tales. Forget the shining stainless steel statues you see in museums. Being a knight in 1384 isn't a romantic calling. It's a high-stakes, high-risk professional career. It is a volatile mix of an F1 driver's technical danger, a heavyweight boxer's physical punishment, and a high-frequency trader's financial gambling. Today, our protagonist, Jean de Saint-Aubert, is at a tournament in northern France. He hasn't slept well. The air inside his tent is thick with the smell of wet canvas and horse manure. Jean is land-rich but cash-poor. To be here today, he has mortgaged the next 2 harvests of his family estate. If he loses his horse and his armor today, he doesn't just lose a game. He loses his social standing, his livelihood, and his family's future. This isn't a story about chivalry. This is a story about the brutal business of the 14th century elite. This is a day in the life of a professional knight. The sun hasn't cleared the horizon, but the tournament camp is already a hive of activity. For Jean, the day begins with a cold wash and a prayer, but mostly it begins with an inspection of hardware. In the 1380s, armor is undergoing a revolution. We are in the Great Transition period. Jean isn't wearing a simple coat of mail. He is wearing a harness, a complex exoskeleton of hardened steel. Let's talk numbers. This suit of armor costs roughly the equivalent of a modern luxury supercar. Each piece is custom fitted to his body by a master armorer. If a single joint is off by a few millimeters, it could mean a broken limb or a lethal opening. Myth-busting time. You've been told knights were so heavy, they needed cranes to get on their horses. This is a lie. Jean's armor weighs about 25 kilograms. It's heavy, yes, but the weight is distributed across his entire skeleton. He can run, he can vault onto his horse, and he can get up if he falls. The real enemy isn't the weight, it's the heat. Inside that steel shell, surrounded by padded wool, his body temperature will skyrocket. He is essentially an athlete performing a marathon inside an oven. His Squire Pierre begins the arming ritual. It starts from the feet and moves up. Sabatons on the feet, greaves on the shins, the cuisses on the thighs. Every piece is tied with points, heavy-duty silk or linen cords, to a reinforced underjacket called a gambeson. If a cord snaps during combat, a plate of steel becomes a deadly liability. By 9 a.m., the camp is a marketplace. Jean walks through the lists, the fenced-off tournament grounds, and it feels more like a military occupation than a sporting event. The tournament is the transfer market of the Middle Ages. Jean meets with his companions, a group of 4 other knights who have agreed to fight as a unit. They aren't just friends, they are a business syndicate. They discuss the ransom system. This is the most critical part of the day. According to the laws of the tournament, if you are unhorsed and captured, your victor wins your horse and your armor. To get them back, you must pay a ransom, often a year's worth of income. Jean looks at his horse, a great horse or destrier. This is not a graceful Arabian stallion. This is a 700-kilogram engine of muscle, bred for aggression. The horse alone is worth a small fortune. If the horse trips and breaks a leg, Jean is financially ruined. The air is filled with the sound of hammers hitting rivets as armorers make last-minute adjustments. There is no music, no flower tossing. It is the sound of professional men preparing for a high-velocity collision. The heralds blow their trumpets. The toast is about to begin. Jean is at the end of the tilt, a wooden barrier designed to keep the horses from colliding head-on. At the other end is a knight from Burgundy. They don't hate each other. In fact, they might have had dinner together 3 years ago. But today, they are 2 kinetic objects on a crash course. Jean lowers his visor. The Hundsgugel or Houndskull helmet is a masterpiece of ballistic geometry. Its pointed snout is designed to make a lance tip glance off rather than penetrate. But it comes at a cost. Jean's vision is reduced to a narrow, horizontal slit. He has 0 peripheral vision. He can't see the ground. He can only see the left shoulder of his opponent. The signal is given. Jean spurs his horse. The physics are terrifying. 2 horses, each weighing 700 kilo, plus 2 men in 25 kilos of steel, moving at 30 miles per hour. The combined closing speed is 60 miles per hour. Jean levels his lance. It's made of solid ash, It's designed to shatter upon a perfect hit to dissipate the energy, but the initial shock is like being hit by a car. Jean levels his lance. It's made of solid ash. It's designed to shatter upon a perfect hit to dissipate the energy, but the initial shock is like being hit by a car. Impact. The lance hits the Burgundy Knight's shield. The wood explodes into thousands of razor-sharp splinters. Jean's head snaps back, his neck muscles strain to keep his head from whipping. Even though the armor wasn't pierced, the blunt force trauma is immense. His ears are ringing, the bell effect of a steel helmet being struck. He stays in the saddle. That's a successful pass. But there are 5 more to go. The joust was the opening act. Now comes the melee, the main event. This is what the crowds really came to see. 2 teams of 20 knights are lined up in an open field. This isn't a series of duels, it is a mock battle. When the signal drops, it is absolute chaos. Jean doesn't use his sword to slash like in the movies. Against plate armor, a sword edge is useless. Instead, he uses the Mortschlag, holding the sword by the blade and using the heavy crossguard as a hammer. Or he uses the half-sword technique, bracing the blade to turn it into a short, precise spear to find the gaps in his opponent's armpits or visor. The melee is a game of wrestling on horseback. Jean's goal isn't to kill. Killing a peer is a social and financial disaster. His goal is to capture. He targets a younger knight who has drifted away from his group. Jean and his companions surround him. They don't fight him so much as they overwhelm him. Jean grabs the young knight's bridle, forcing his horse to a halt, while another companion uses a mace to dent the knight's helmet, disorienting him. Jean pulls out his misericordia, the thin mercy dagger. He presses it against the visor slit of the young knight. "Rendezvous?" Jean shouts over the din. The young knight, gasping for air and unable to see, nods his head. That is one capture. That is a payday. The sun is setting. The criers call an end to the combat. Jean returns to his tent. He is trembling from adrenaline and physical exhaustion. As Pierre removes the armor, we see the reality of the noble life. Jean's shoulders are raw and bleeding where the harness rubbed through his padding. His chest is a map of deep purple bruises. He is severely dehydrated. He hasn't had a drop of water in 4 hours because you cannot drink easily through a 14th century helmet. But Jean is smiling. He survived. His horse is tired but sound, and he has a prisoner. In the evening, the atmosphere shifts. The violence of the afternoon is replaced by the etiquette of the banquet. Jean sits down with the young knight he captured. They aren't enemies. They are colleagues. They negotiate. "Your horse is fine, but your harness needs work," Jean says. They agree on a ransom of 400 gold crowns. It is a massive sum, but the young knight's family will pay it to maintain their honor. They drink spiced wine, eat roasted venison, and discuss the technicalities of the day's hits. For Jean, this isn't just a party. It's his accounting department. He calculates his winnings against the cost of his broken lances, the repairs to his own dented breastplate, and the tips for his squires. The life of a knight was never about the tapestries or the poems. It was a relentless cycle of extreme physical training, high-stakes financial investment, and the constant threat of sudden poverty or permanent disability. Jean de Saint-Aubert will sleep well tonight, but only because he won. In 3 weeks, there is another tournament in Burgundy. He will pack his steel, feed his horses, and do it all over again. He is a professional. He is an athlete. He is a soldier. And in a world of mud and uncertainty, his armor is the only thing keeping him from falling into the abyss of history. Next time you see a suit of armor in a museum, don't look at the shine. Look at the dents. Look at the scratches. Because behind that steel was a man who gambled everything he owned on the strength of a wooden pole and the speed of a horse.